All right, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the MMA Fighting YouTube channel, the podcast network, wherever you're listening or watching, because, folks, Conor McGregor continues to say things, he continues to tweet things, and trying to figure out what he's actually saying has been quite the mental exercise over the last few years, but boy, are we going to be terrific triers today. I am Mike Heck. I'll be joined by one of my amazing colleagues in a moment, but if you missed it, we heard from Conor McGregor this morning, and he said some things about his court case. He also said something that has gotten a lot of attention because obviously with the court case, the former two-division champion was in the courtroom. Last month, he was found liable in civil court stemming from a sexual assault case in 2018. The judge rules that he had to pay a sum plus legal costs for his accuser. And earlier in the year, McGregor was expected to make his UFC return following a pretty brutal, almost catastrophic leg break against Dustin Poirier. He was scheduled to fight Michael Chandler at UFC 303 in Las Vegas. Then he gets injured. He's forced to withdraw. So now we're inching closer to the 4-year mark since we last saw Conor McGregor compete in a UFC fight. And Dana White, anybody in regards to the UFC has been asked repeatedly, when is Conor coming back? When is Conor coming back? And Dana keeps pretty much moving the timeline back further and further and further. Conor seems to deflect and go against most of the things Dana has been saying this entire time. Now Conor McGregor is saying, you know what? I got something cooking. I've agreed to box Logan Paul. Yes, Logan Paul, the YouTube boxer, the WWE superstar. He's saying he has agreed to box Logan Paul in India. And then after that happens, I'll return to the UFC, which just seems like a weird and wacky thing to say for a guy like Conor McGregor, but he says weird and wacky things all the time. And I don't believe we have heard from Logan Paul since. However, we recently just heard from Logan's brother, Jake Paul. Here's what Jake had to say via the magic of Twitter. Quote, now it all makes sense why Conor McGregor and his management team have been desperately trying to get MVP to negotiate for a fight between us. As we told them privately, and I'm now saying it publicly, the only way we're willing to explore me versus Conor in a boxing /MMA fight is if Dana White /UFC are at the table directly or make it clear they're okay with discussions. Conor is washed, needs the Pauls, Logan by however he wants. Okay, but look, like I said, this is something that has gotten a lot of attention, so let's talk about it. And joining me to discuss this and much more, there he is. Let's bring us both up here at the same time. Let us bring in my best friend, the co-host, the co-matchmaker for On to the Next One, the wonderful Alexander K. Lee from MMAfighting.com. AK, I will ask this as simply as I possibly can. What in the world is going on here? And do you believe any of this?
I learned, listen, ever since 2017 happened, I've learned not to rule anything out. Now, when I first saw this, well, for one thing, I went to bed, my best friend, with like a nagging feeling that like something weird was going to happen overnight. But I thought it would be John Jones related. I thought John Jones would just have something to say about Covington, which was true. That did happen. So I was ready to wake up to some social media shenanigans. For some reason, I just didn't expect anything from Conor. Maybe I've just there was a time where pretty much every day we were. I'm sure if you go back through when he was at his most active on social media, like tweeting about himself, not just about like his products and about bare knuckle fighting. You'd find we wrote a lot of stories about Conor tweets. It was a good time, very lucrative time in the industry to be rebroadcasting this man's often crazy thoughts. But I didn't see this one coming. So yes, he claims that there is preliminary talks. I think that's the exact word he used. Preliminary talks with the Ambani family to have a boxing match with Logan Paul, not Jake Paul, guys, with Logan Paul in India. For guys, anyone not familiar with the Ambanis, you probably, at least if you're on social media at all, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, you saw clips from, I guess, what is only known as the Ambani wedding this past summer, which had, all these celebrities at it. People that just performed were like, Justin Bieber was there. Rihanna, I think, did a full concert for this wedding. This was a multi-day affair, as most Indian weddings are. And if you check most reports, the costs estimate anywhere from $300 to $1 billion for a wedding. my guess would be closer to $1 billion, if we're being honest, just based on the names that were there and some of the guests they had and just the sheer spectacle of it all. So that's the kind of money we're talking about when Conor says he is working with the Ambanis to make a fight in India happen, a boxing match with Logan Paul happen. It sounds absurd. It sounds crazy. But guys, if you know me, I said 7 or 8 years ago, I didn't think Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather would happen. And now that seems normal compared to all the insanity that we've seen since. So I think, if you ask me, this is total bullshit. I don't think there's... I mean, if by talks, meaning like literally he's had some contact with some representative from the Ambanis about like, oh yeah, wouldn't this be cool if it happened? Maybe, you know, these are all famous people. These are all people with money. They all run in the same circles. Entirely possible, literally, that a basic conversation has happened. I don't buy preliminary talks. I don't buy the gears are in motion. But when there's this much money involved, you can never rule it out completely. So I just think it's crazy. I'm still reeling from it. I have my in-laws are Indian. So trust me, I am waiting. I have not heard the wave yet of, oh my gosh, is this real? Because I guarantee they're going to come to me asking how much realness there is to it. And I'm still not sure what I'm going to tell them.
Here's why this is so strange to me, AK. Because usually every day there's a Conor tweet. And usually it's something about a fight that probably could never happen. And the day just goes on. Right? We go on, we read the tweet, or we see it in our Slack channel. We're just like, okay, he's just saying things. And then we just, maybe we create a graphic, and then that's really all the chatter about it. I go to the gym this morning, and when the workout ends, I go to my phone. Literally, every news outlet on planet Earth that I have on my phone has sent an alert out. Breaking news, Conor McGregor is not fighting in the UFC. He's agreed to box Logan Paul in India in a boxing match. And I'm like, wait a second. This never happens with the Conor thing. Did you get these same alerts too? Because like, I guess First Take was talking about it. Like people are like on their sports channels talking about this, which leads me to believe that this is, I'm not saying this is happening. I ain't a fish here. I ain't biting into the line. The worm is there. It looks delightful, but I'm not biting it. But this is different. I was shocked to see how many alerts I got about this. Did you experience that as well?
So I actually haven't yet. I am waiting for the drop from any of my associates in India, even though they are ahead. But again, maybe they have a better feel of the situation. Maybe they know that this is bullshit, because I guarantee they probably would have heard about it before we did. But I think the buzz is because Conor dropped. I don't know if he crafted this tweet himself, but he really dropped all the right buzzwords in there, didn't he? Again, Logan Paul. You know, you name one of the Paul brothers these days, you're going to get some social media, some bounce right there. The Ambani family, like I said, one of the wealthiest families in the entire world. Again, and anyone that hadn't heard of them definitely heard of them this past summer. So like they have reached well beyond India. I mean, they're just an extraordinarily famous family now. Again, they already were. So I say there's just more people on our side of the pond that have heard of them now. Of course, they were insanely famous before. And then even mentions Topuria. That was cheeky. Like, oh, that throwing out like two rumors at once. You know, saying like, oh yeah, that was that rumor.
Where did that come from?
I don't even know.
I haven't heard that rumor, and I work in the MMA.
That's what's so sly about it, right? It's like he shut down a rumor that we didn't even know existed. So there's Topuria, there's Logan Paul, there's the Ambanis. They're talking about boxing. He makes sure to mention the UFC, like you said, that he caps it off with, "Oh, I'm still coming back to the UFC." It was like a perfect social media smorgasbord of words to put in a tweet, and I think that's why, like, it's still pretty early. I say early in the day for us East Coast time, 11:30 as we record this, Mike. And I just feeling people are going to be talking about this for the rest of the week, which in this news cycle that we live in, considering again how insubstantial this is, it's just a tweet, guys. It's just a tweet and a response from Jake and a response from Ilya. We haven't even heard from Logan yet, but it's already got everyone buzzing. So yeah, I mean, it's sort of thing we just have to talk about. As ridiculous as it sounds, Mike, we have to talk about it.
So Saturday night was UFC Tampa. And we didn't expect to see him in Tampa, but he was there. Dana White comes back and answers questions from all of us in the media. And it's just, you know, a lot of the same stuff. Like, what's this? What's this? Here's what's happening in the news, your reaction to it. And then at one point, Dana White says, we have something cooking for 2025 that is going to blow your minds. And Boy, have we heard that before. UFC 300 socks are going to get blown off when we announce this main event. You'll never see this coming from a mile away. And they give us Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, which, like we said, was a terrific fight. But the socks were on, the shoes came on. Like, more clothes actually jumped onto my body after that announcement was made than came off my body. But now he's doing it again. Wait till you see this. You will never believe this. Heads will spin, I believe was the quote. Could this be it? Because let's think about this, AK. Logan Paul is under WWE contract. WWE and UFC, they're intertwined with TKO. You mentioned everything that's going on with this family and how much money they have. And if anybody likes to collect a big fat paycheck, it's Dana White in the UFC, it's TKO. And if they could put this all together, even though this is the dumbest idea I have ever heard in combat sports, and we just saw Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight each other, could this happen because of who's involved? Like, is this something they could do? Could this be what Dana's talking about?
I hate that you have taken your red yarn and connected these together, and in a reasonable way. That's what's so upsetting, is that you're making me think about it.
I'm so mad at myself. I can't lie to you.
Because if somehow they work this, if they work anything with this family, and they I don't even know if it's this fight or somehow make a Conor fight happen in India. Let's just say they make a Conor fight happen in India. Let's say it's not Logan Paul. It's that they somehow manage to hold an event in India with Conor, and they get to pay. You know, we all know they love their site fees. We all know the UFC loves their site fees, and they get some sort of fee from this family. It would probably guarantee a profitable year for them, no matter what happened the rest of the year. Let's say this happens like first 4 months. Let's say like April or something. If this happened, the money that they would likely be paid to do this, again, it would guarantee a profitable year. They could headline the rest of the year with Juliana Pena and Alexandre Pantoja on like half the pay-per-views for the rest of the year, and they would still rake in hand over fist the money that we're talking about here. So I don't. Answering your question directly, I don't think that is what he's alluding to. Because I have a feeling if that was the case, he wouldn't really be allowed to mention it. I would think like not even hint at it. I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, that he was talking about John Jones, Tom Aspinall. But again, that feels like a separate conversation. So you're right. It maybe doesn't fall under
Definitely not that.
We don't know that, Mike. We don't know that.
Well, he answered that directly. He said
that it will happen.
100%. He said he 100% guaranteed we get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall.
I was hoping it was tied together, but I still don't think it's this, whatever this is, because I just think he wouldn't even, if it's what Conor says, preliminary talks supposedly. I don't think that even Dana would want to tease something like that. I think, if anything, Dana, you throw something like that out there, and by February, people probably won't remember he said it. Besides us, we'll hold him accountable. We'll bring it up. I'm sure, at any time he's in front of the mic, people say, is that mystery main event you talked about coming to fruition at all? I am interested to see, though. You're right. If someone makes that same connection and then and it has to come up at the next press conference, so we'll see, Mike. But I don't know. I'm not willing to make that connection yet.
What is more likely to happen in your eyes, AK? Conor McGregor boxes Logan Paul in 2025, or Conor McGregor has a UFC fight in 2025?
Oh God. Can I say neither? I'll go with the UFC fight. No, but I have to respect the question. I'll go with the UFC fight because, again, I just don't. There are still complications. Yes, they're both under the TKO banner. I totally get it. And one of the great things about that partnership is that our minds are open to like, wow, like there's a lot of crossover possibilities here, not just from a talent standpoint, but from marketing and from just a production, the way they run their businesses. So yes, it is. That's one less barrier to making something like this happen, right? This is two guys under the TKO banner. But it's. I'll still lean towards the UFC thing just because it's just easier to manage. I still think there's a good chance we don't see Conor in 2025. There's just so much going on in this dude's life. I know, because I think some people were confident he was back in 2024. And then I guess we weren't fully aware of everything that was going on with the civil suit still. That I think was one of the factors for him not returning. And considering that he says he's going to appeal, considering some of the comments he's made since, that's really not over yet. Like as far as like that being tied to his business and his personal life. And I don't know how much the UFC and ESPN and all these shareholders want to be involved in that. Like, I think that stuff needs to be cleared up because I think it's, again, the accusation was so heinous, and that he was found liable for me is so damning. I know it's not this. I know it's a civil case. I know liable is not the same as being considered 100% guilty in a criminal case. I understand. Not the same thing. Not the same thing. The burden of proof is much later. I get it. But from what we know of what transpired, and again, the fact that he was found liable. Look, this is bad, guys. Liable's bad, guys. I don't know. We don't need to relitigate this. We did a whole other show about, when the verdict happened. Liable is still pretty bad considering what he was being accused of. So I don't know. I want all that stuff to be cleared up first before we even talk about Conor fighting again. And for me, if he never fights again, I'm fine with it. I know we all love the spectacle. I know we as websites love the Conor clicks. I'm fine if this guy never fights again. And part of me really hates that he and his team crafted such a good tweet that we have to talk about all the possibilities that can come from it.
The man understands SEO, AK.
Yeah,
he understands it.
Incredible.
He gets it.
SEO quality post for sure. No question.
True. All right. So, I mean, that's kind of the latest with all this, and we'll see what happens. And as you said, you were right. John Jones did clap back at Colby Covington, and it was kind of funny, but we got a couple of super chats. We'll get to them, and maybe we'll take a couple other comments. We'll stick around for like 3 or 4 more minutes. But Saul says Logan versus Conor is a real peach's delight.
Is that a good thing?
I looked that up ahead of time. And
thank you.
According to Reddit, it said it was like something that was perfect.
Okay.
So, okay. Alex, just feels like a way to get the media cycle focused on a new fight and off the civil. It was not really a conviction, though he might need the money, sponsors leaving, etc.
You know what? Yes, there's some truth to that, I think. But also, he tweets a lot about this, about the case still. So if he's trying to veer away from not talking about the case, he's doing a really bad job because he is now, going after, and there's a whole other discussion. Now he is obviously big on pushing this false accusation narrative, and that's fine. You can agree, you cannot agree. That is what he is doing. So I don't know if he's trying to draw attention away from the case, because he's certainly trying to draw a certain kind of attention to it, attention that he hopes is positive for him. So I don't know. I think it might be unrelated. This is why I feel like this was drawn up by his team and not by him. There's a lot going on with the Conor McGregor social media. I think I'd love to know the inner workings of how that stuff's being handled.
Master of the Universe Classic. Jake Paul put up a very interesting response, Mike, half an hour ago, which I really respect, to be honest, especially what he says about only if Dana and UFC are okay with it. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty smart from Jake. What was it, like 4 days ago? I was part of a round table with him, Nikisa, and Amanda Serrano. And for Jake at this point, he wants to box and focus on boxing and trying to fight some of these actual boxers with big names after the whole Tyson fiasco. But he did mention that if he was going to do MMA, it would have to be against a Nate Diaz or somebody of that nature to get him really excited for it. And obviously Conor would fit that bill. But he's also very wise in knowing that Dana is never going to let Conor go and box Jake Paul. It's just never going to happen. So I thought the tweet was pretty good. And then at first I was like, wait a minute, does Jake think this is about him? Because he said Logan. And then at the end, it was like Logan by however he wants, just buried at the bottom of the sentence. So it was interesting. What was your thoughts on the tweet from Jake?
I was also confused. Frankly, I was confused at first by the initial tweet. I think in my mind, Conor's tweet, I read Jake, and I was like, okay, no, wait, he's talking about Logan, this exhibition bout with Logan. And then when Jake replied, I got confused again, as you said. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about. I think we knew Jake was going to respond first. He is the more. I can't believe I'm a grown man debating the social media proclivities of the Paul brothers, but I do believe Jake is the more reactive tweeter. This is analyzing their fighting styles. Yeah, Jake's counter tweeting game is a little bit stronger. It's a little bit more noticeable. He's of course more dipped into the legitimate, if you want to call it, the legitimate combat sports world. So of course he's gonna be the first one to reply about boxing talk. Logan again currently is not boxing. He is. I see comments asking, is he retired from boxing? I mean, guys, everyone's retired until the right paycheck comes along. So yeah, he's probably not actively pursuing boxing bouts. But again, if there's any truth to this Conor and Ambani thing, and they reach out to him with the promise of a fat check, Logan's going to put those boxing gloves on pretty quickly. So Yeah, but no, it makes sense that Jake replied first and got himself involved in the conversation. This is how the social media game works, right? Like we said, Connor crafted a perfect tweet. So if you wanna ride off of that, that's exactly what Jake's doing, and and it does involve his brother, and it does involve the possibility of fights. So yeah, he's just getting himself in the conversation, which is I guess what you got to do these days.
I hope everybody can hear me.
There was a weird, Mike. They can hear you now. There was a bit of a drop off for some reason. It got quiet. It got quiet for a bit, and then came back. So.
Okay, I don't know why.
Yeah, and you're a little fuzzy now.
I'm fuzzy.
A little fuzzy.
What in the world's going on here?
I don't know. I didn't see you touch anything. So.
How about now? We better?
It's quiet again. It's quiet again.
What the hell is going on here?
No worries, Mike. You work on that. I'm going to answer a question from Joseph Boza. Yeah. Joseph Boza asking, Logan claimed to be retired, so I addressed that. Isn't India a random place for this boxing match to take place? Yes, I know what you're saying, but again, like we said, the Ambani family obviously based in India, and huge population there. Again, not a common spot for big fights, for big boxing matches, but you know what? Saudi Arabia wasn't a big spot for big fights and big boxing matches once upon a time either. And the right personality comes along, the right money comes along, and suddenly you're holding big boxing matches there. That's just how these things work, right? So it may seem random at first, but it's where the money is. You follow the money, guys. I know we've said money 9 million times in this podcast, but that is really what this is all about. If there's any inkling of truth to this, so yes, it's entirely. Again, I don't believe any of this is real. I do believe it's Connor talking out of his ass or taking something from a sprinkle of a conversation and just putting it out there on social media so that it blows up and possibly distracts from his other problems going in his life. But yes, in India may seem random, but it's only does now until it happens.
AK.
Oh, you're back and you're quite loud.
I'm too loud.
No, you're properly loud, I think.
Properly loud? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, we figured it out. See, when you go away and you travel for a little bit and you have a wife, she likes to move things around.
Oh, no.
And sometimes buttons get pushed, and that is what has happened here. Because this is the first time I've used this microphone in a week. So there we are. I appreciate your patience with this. Here's one other thing that someone just brought to my attention.
Mm-hmm.
Logan Paul said he retired from WWE not that long ago.
Oh, is that what he's retired from? He's just retired in general?
I don't know. Says he's a dad. He's retired. I assume maybe it's from WWE.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that was the first seed planted with all of this.
Mike, is it more likely that they just do something with WWE?
I don't know.
Even considering how
Mania?
Even considering how radioactive McGregor is right now. Let's not forget the WWE.
I don't know. I don't know.
I know. They're still in the stink of the awful Vince McMahon situation. Okay, and I get it. And then even however months from now when WrestleMania happens, or one of their SummerSlam, whatever show they decide to try and do this on, whatever that stink might finally be going away. I mean, I don't think it will. I think that's going to linger for years. But then you bring in again McGregor, who has his recent thing. I get it. It might not fit the WWE corporate mold right now. They're very good at controlling their image. They're pretty thoughtful about these things. But they've also haven't been great about handling the Vince McMahon situation, if I'm being perfectly honest. So maybe this does fit in. I could see, and let's not forget, they do regularly hold events in India. WWE has a huge foothold in India of any combat sport. WWE has a monster foothold in India. I'm saying, you want to do an exhibition boxing match or a worked boxing match with him and Logan Paul? That to me is more believable than them actually having a proper exhibition. I could see them working something, in pro wrestling. I think that is distinctly possible. And again, that definitely was not what Dana's talking about. I don't think so anyway. But I don't know. Maybe TKO is going to be a crazy year where we really see the WWE UFC partnership start to bleed into each other. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they've been teasing a lot of stuff. I mean Dana's been saying it all the time. He goes, "We're going to be involved in every combat sport," and who knows? Maybe the Zuva boxing. This is the debut event. It's headlined by Conor and freaking Logan Paul. Well, what are we doing here?
You had to bring up Zuva boxing. Well done, everyone on your bingo. A lot of people just completed their bingo card with the Zuva boxing. Bingo. Well done, Mike. Well done.
Brawl for All 2. I like it, Lazy Bed.
Yes,
little Brawl for All 2. Let's get JBL back in there. Let's get Marvelous Mark Merrow in there. Steve Blackman, I'm sure he's chilling somewhere. It'd yeah. I don't know. But look, this is interesting. And again, the thing that really got me was just seeing alerts about it. Like ESPN was alerting people about this, and others like news apps that I have are like Conor McGregor's boxing Logan Paul, or he says he is. The ESPN said it was a breaking news story. I was like, what? They never do this with Conor stuff, which is Mike, why I was like, oh God, this might be a thing.
Mike, Conor has also retired multiple times, and those were all breaking news. I'm sure once upon a time, I wasn't with MMA fighting at the time. I think when the first retirement happened, I'm sure there was the yellow banner of doom was at the top of the screen. And guess what? That wasn't real either. So take this all, guys, with so much salt, so many, more than just a grain, however many grains of salt you can muster, please take them with this news. It's possible. Anything is possible in combat sports. After 2017, there's no such thing as this fight will never happen. And when there's this many powerful people allegedly involved in having discussions, it's entirely possible. But I'm leaning towards no, Mike. I don't think I asked you. What are you leaning towards? This happening in some form, whether it's real, whether it's with WWE, whether it's like a worked exhibition bout or an actual exhibition bout, will we see them in a ring wearing gloves in some form? Conor and Logan Paul, either this year or even 2026.
It's officially one step below. This is the dumbest thing I've ever talked about, which is like, I didn't think I'd even get there. But again, just seeing everything in regards to this being such a big news story today is making me think like it goes from a 0% chance of happening to a 1% chance of happening. So I'll put it at 2%. That's where I'm at, which is 2%. 2 percentage points more than I thought.
That works for me. I always tell people you can never be more than 98% sure about anything. So the math checks out. So yeah, I'm 98% sure that this is all not, this is all just something for us to buzz about on social media and the talk of the day. But there is that 2%, like you said, Mike. There is that 2%.
Yeah, well, 2% of me is done talking about this. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you very much, AK. Appreciate you jumping on and having fun. Appreciate you guys hopping in last minute and dealing with my tech issues. But if more random stuff happens, we'll be back and we'll discuss it here. So thank you all very much. We appreciate you. For AK, I am Mike Heck. Have a wonderful day, everybody.